Hey, welcome back. So in this video, I am going to cover the 5 survival tips that you need to make it through your adoption journey. So let's face it, the adoption journey is really hard. Okay, adoption is a beautiful thing. It's got its ups and downs, and there's so many things that can go wrong in the adoption process that if you don't know what you don't know, then you can get stuck in the process. So I'm going to give you guys 5 survival tips to get you through the adoption journey so that you don't waste a ton of time and also a ton of money. All right, so let's dive right in. Tip number 1, don't just choose a professional that your family or your friend recommended, or even something that you saw on social media. Now, it's very common to go on social media and Google, research things like that to find a professional to work with, and that's completely fine. One of the biggest pitfalls and mistakes that I see my clients making all the time is that they pick somebody that a friend recommended or a family recommended, and they don't do enough research or properly vet them enough to know for sure if that professional is actually the right fit for them. Because just because that professional worked well with your friend does not necessarily mean that they'll work well with you as well. All right, so survival tip number 2 for your adoption journey is properly vetting the adoption professional that you choose. So let's say that you've dwindled down your options to maybe 3 professionals that you think you might want to work with. So the second tip that I would give you is you want to ask them the right questions. Believe it or not, you can ask the wrong questions and never actually find out if that professional is actually the right fit for your family. So take Allison, for example. She's a client of mine right now in the Adoption Success Accelerator program. And what happened with her and her husband is that they were working with an adoption agency with foster care, and they thought they had gotten all the right information they needed. 1 year into working with this agency, they realized that this agency was actually not going to provide the help that they were looking for. And so she joined the program because she was so frustrated with all the roadblocks that she kept hitting with this agency. Once she joined the program, she was able to find the proper questions to ask to actually properly vet an agency and a professional. And she literally took those questions, used it with her agency, realized that none of the things that she thought she was going to get is what she was actually getting. She fired that agency, started working with a different one, and they now have a baby that they have in their care from foster care that they're hoping to adopt in the next few months. So guys, that is how important it is to actually ask the right questions when you're calling around different professionals to try to figure out which one you want to work with. So if you want to know how to ask the right questions when you're calling different adoption professionals and trying to figure out which one is going to work best for your family, and you don't want to make the same mistake that Allison did before she joined the Adoption Success Accelerator program, then you can click the link below and go ahead and apply to see if you qualify for a call. We love working with families, their first-time hopeful adoptive families who are really looking for a guide to help them through the adoption process, and they want to hear from somebody who has experience with the process, and they want to be able to go through the adoption process without making any mistakes along the way, and knowing what they're doing and having the resources that they need to actually go through the adoption process successfully. Okay, so again, if that's you, go ahead and click the link below, and I would love to speak with you, and my team would love to speak with you as well. So my third tip to survive the adoption journey is understanding the pros and the cons of the different types of adoptions that you may be looking at. One of the biggest mistakes that I also see hopeful adoptive parents making is really being confused about foster care adoption and foster to adopt. Now, when it comes to newborn adoption, that's a little bit more clear, because when you want to adopt a newborn, that's pretty clear, you're adopting a baby. But when it comes to foster care, what I find is that a lot of people are running into issues when they call their Department of Health and Human Services in their states, especially those who are wanting to adopt children who are already adoptable. They're waiting in foster care, but their parents' rights have already been terminated. So what I see is that they actually run into a lot of roadblocks. That's actually something that Allison, my client that I was speaking about earlier, also ran into with her agency. She was hearing from her state that she cannot adopt children who are sitting in foster care who are already waiting to be adopted. And that is simply not true. So it's really important for, as you go through your adoption journey, to understand the differences between foster care adoption, like I said, and foster to adopt, because those are 2 very different things. Now, in this video right here, if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about, I break down the differences between fostering, foster care adoption, and foster to adopt. All right, and survival tip number 4 is do not not start your home study first. Now, you'll see very commonly on social media, in Facebook groups, Instagram, etc., that, people will tell you, hey, if you're starting your home study, if you're starting your adoption, you need a home study. And that is very true. You do need a home study. You just don't need to do that as the very first step in your adoption process, okay? If you want to know more about what I'm talking about, click this video right here where I go in depth about why it is so critical that you don't start with your home study first. All right, and finally, our survival tip number 5 is going to be, if you are self-matching, beware of scams. There are scams everywhere, all over the internet. There are women who are pretending to be pregnant, who will show you even pictures of you when they used to be pregnant a long time ago, and they're taking hopeful adoptive parents' money. And the thing with adoption, as you guys probably know, is that you can pay, an expectant mom for an adoption, but she can always change her mind at the end. And if she does, you've just lost all of that money. So adoption is very much a risk for adoptive parents because you are trusting that the information that the expectant mother is giving you is true. And so these scams are becoming commonplace, especially when you're self-matching. Okay, so when you're self-matching, what you're doing as an adoptive parent is you're saying, I don't need a professional to help me with the matching process. I want to match on my own. And so many adoptive parents are being scammed because of this. One of the most notorious scammers over the past couple of years is one by the name of Gabby. So much so that she actually gained national attention and she ended up on the Dr. Phil show. Okay, and so I'm gonna put the link to that below if you want to watch that show on Dr. Phil with Gabby. But she's been doing this for years, and I'm not sure how adoptive parents keep falling for her scams. But like I said, if you're self-matching, you really want to beware of scams, especially giving your money to someone where you cannot verify that they're actually pregnant, where you can't actually meet with them face to face and make sure that they actually physically look pregnant. If you can't see medical information from them showing that they're going to the medical doctor. And the number one way that you can tell that an expectant mother may not really be on board with the adoption but maybe stringing you along is when you're ready to actually start introducing a professional like a lawyer for your adoption, because you're going to need a professional either way, even if you self-match. So if you start saying, hey, you're going to be due in 2 months, we need to get this finalized, like you need a lawyer, I need a lawyer. If she starts to not return your phone calls, then you know that person was probably scamming you. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you can tell. If you are a hopeful adoptive parent and you are researching and trying to figure out the best way to go about your adoption, you want to know what to do and what not to do and how to avoid scams and things like that, I want to again strongly encourage you to click the link below to apply to book a call to see if you qualify for the Adoption Success Accelerator program. We love working with families like you, and what you get through the program is a roadmap that's really going to help you go step by step through the entire adoption process from A to Z, holding your hand through the process so that you can avoid scams, you can avoid the common pitfalls of first-time hopeful adoptive parents as they go through the adoption process, and you can actually have a successful adoption. Now, if you want to know more about how Allison and her husband were able to fire their adoption agency, like I was talking about earlier, and hire a new one, and now have a baby in their home within only 2 months, click this video right here to learn more about what they did and how you can also have a successful adoption just like them. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this with your friends. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.